One of the things that I've been finding quite interesting is a point that Pastor Michael Todd was making. He's been teaching out of a series called Cuffing. So he'll title it Cuff to Constant, Cuff to Comfort, uh, different things like that. And one of the series that he taught on, or one of the topics that he taught on in the series, was Cuff to Cake. This one was in regards to food directly, and he asked a question right before he started teaching. He was like, have you ever heard a full sermon, full lesson taught on the topic of gluttony? And as long as I've been going to church my entire life, uh, being dragged to church by my grandmother and growing up in Sunday school and then becoming an adult and going to church as well, I had never heard someone outline a full sermon teaching on gluttony. And it's one of these seven deadly sins. And it was never taught on. It was never touched on or talked about. One thing that I had noticed was years ago, I had wanted to, when I first went vegan, I wanted to do a topic on the black churches. And the topic that the title of it that I wanted to do was called Why Food? And just in regards to a lot of black pastors that I saw growing up, a lot of black preachers, a lot of black deacons, and just church in general, and how we always had like this connection with food that we really couldn't shake for real. We had so much knowledge of the Bible, but we didn't care to learn about food. We knew what we knew, and that was all we wanted to know. Uh, and we didn't care to learn about macros and micros and the nutrients and what's going to be beneficial. We just didn't care to learn any of that. One thing that I would notice in the black community or the black church is we will lose a loved one or sometimes a church family member. We will lose a family member to health. Normally, it was high blood pressure, stroke, massive heart attack. Um, and it was usually in a lot of the stories that black people would tell the grandfather that goes first, Paw. I would see that a lot. It would be a family, it would be a grandmama or a big mama, and her husband passed years ago. And most of the family would remember some memories and some good times and things like that, have some fond memories. But for the most part, most people's memory of traditional black granddad is he worked. He worked 14 plus hours because that was just how it was. The market just wasn't cracking like that for families to really flourish without you being at work forever. And so granddad would be at work 14, 16 some hours, come home, and it was such a tradition for whoever was the breadwinner in the house to have a plate ready for him, a nice hot plate ready for him when he got home, and it would be piled high, or as we say, he would get the big piece of chicken piled high, and it would be seasoned heavy. It would be hearty, comforting, seasoned heavy. He would eat that, probably shower, and he would go to sleep because he got to get right back up and do it again the next day. You do that for X amount of years, you will die. That's just how it is. And that was just something that we were so accustomed to. We were always accustomed to grandpa passed, grandmama's still here. And then, but we still, everybody in the family is still eating the same. We lose a family member to blood pressure, heart disease, heart failure, or diabetes, all different types of ailments that are typical within the black community, black church. We would lose somebody, go to the funeral, and they will say, "Y'all going to the repast?" And then we will go to the repast, and they will be serving the exact same foods that put them in the coffin in the first place. But it's hard for us to shake because we love our flavor. We don't want to sacrifice that. We love that seasoning. We love, and there's nothing wrong with having those things, but we don't know how to do things in moderation. We don't know how to maybe take a couple of days off from that. We don't know how to turn the plate over. Another thing that I wanted to talk about that Michael Todd mentioned was portion control. Very simple, but it's something that nobody's really thinking about, especially when it comes to like family gatherings, holidays, family reunions, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Nobody's thinking about portion control because you just want to be comforted with your food, your family, the festivities. And so you're not thinking about portion control. It's always there one or two few people that may be like real moderate with how they consume. But for the most part, it's idolized to, I mean, just stack your plate up high, knock your plate down, and then stretch out on the couch, watch some football. You know what I mean? That's something that we've just gotten accustomed to doing. It was a lot of good things that Michael Todd was touching on. And there was a lot of things that touched home for me because of how I consumed and how I still consume. Even after dealing with a little bit of the trouble that I was dealing with health wise last year, I still find myself consuming too much. I definitely have my days where I'll just do water. I'll just do smoothies or just fresh fruit juices or vegetable juices and stuff like that. I have my days where I'll do that, but I still have days where I'll just consume too much. Don't know when enough is enough. Don't know when I'm actually sufficed. Because I'm so used to ordering a decent amount and eating that. Now my plate has definitely gotten much smaller than what it used to be, but it's still bigger than what it needs to be. And so working on portion control, or in other words, self-control. And I believe that getting a better handle on this isn't just going to translate to food. I believe it'll translate to other areas. It'll translate over to how active I am. It'll translate over to finances and just how I engage with fans and friends and family, how I engage with different people, you know, in my life, friends and peers that I come in contact with. I feel like this will translate in so many other areas and possibly in the future translate spiritually. You know, there's a lot of self control and probably portion control and just self control in general spiritually that I need to engage in. Hearing that sermon, it definitely was an eye opener because it definitely put things into a real perspective in regards to food. It wasn't anything metaphorical. It wasn't anything that was presenting like analogies. It was just directly speaking about your relationship with food. It was just talking about like, oh, when he was speaking on like whenever he's happy, he'd eat. When he was sad, he'd eat. When he wanted to celebrate, he'd eat. A milestone that he achieved, he'd eat. And I'm the same way. You know, I would always sort of reward myself with cooking a nice meal or going out and grabbing a bite um, at a really nice restaurant. And you would find yourself dealing with your eyes being bigger than your stomach situation a lot. And I can see that same thing translating in other areas of my life where sometimes you've had enough, you got enough. Okay. Uh there's areas in my life where it's just like, yeah, you've clearly got enough. You don't need any more. These are just the ones that I have sitting here on the desk, and it isn't even that many. And this is probably more than some people have had in their whole life. And like this is literally not even a fraction. I can't even call it a fraction of what I have. And it's just realizing when you have enough in regards to food, realizing when you've had enough. And practicing that, carrying that out. So the next few weeks, I'm going to be practicing that and try to develop it into a habit, and then try to develop that into a lifestyle where I don't have to think about it. It's just something that I naturally do whenever I go into the kitchen, whenever it's time for me to eat. I've been practicing time windows and not being so extreme with stuff, and just being a little bit more smart about my approach to health and weight loss. We've been doing pretty good. Right now we're sitting at like a solid, I'll say like 250. We're sitting at a solid like 250. We started I want to say it was last year, and we started off at 290. We were 290 pounds. I want to say maybe 85. Now, to put that into perspective, I sit around 5'10", maybe 5'11" on a good day. And so for me to be that size at that height, uh it was bad. It was terrible for me. Now, granted, a lot of it is muscle, but there's a lot of fat on my body. It was a lot of body fat, a huge percent. And I want to say I was in maybe like the 38%, probably higher, if I'm not mistaken. But friends and family will see me and be like, well, you don't really look, all that. And that's what was hurting me. You look in the mirror and you stand sideways, you stand at a certain angle, you be like, oh, I'm okay. I'm good. And then your family do the same thing. And I had a mixture of both. I had a mixture of whenever I brought it up, family would say, like, oh no, you're not that bad. You good. Like you really don't look all that. And then I would have a mixture of family that would be like, oh yeah, you picking it up. So I had a little bit of both. So I wasn't like completely oblivious to what was going on. And I knew that I was picking it up. You can always tell when somebody else takes a picture of you. That's a clean way to find out. Hey, take a picture of me at an unflattering angle, and I'm whatever role you have, you'll find it. And but I had gotten that size just from being irresponsible how I ate, eating late at night. I was notorious for eating late at night. 3 o'clock in the morning, wake up and fix a whole meal, or go and grab some fries from somewhere. Just notorious for that. And then not only would I eat late at night, it would be really greasy, really oily, and then it would be a big portion. And then I would roll over, lay down, go to sleep, wake up, and then do it again the next day. And it was just it was a vicious cycle for me. I wasn't giving my body any chance to digest anything. I was working my body so terribly, burning a candle at both ends, it seemed like. And to put it into perspective, I would wake up around 7, maybe 8 o'clock. I'd have my first meal that day around maybe 9, 10, 10:30. First meal would be something greasy, oily, saucy, spicy. I love spicy food, love something saucy, heavy. So I would have something like that. Before I was vegan, it would be something like chicken wings and cheese fries, like buffalo chicken wings and cheese fries, like early in the morning, because that's what I wanted. I ate what I wanted. I had a taste for something heavy, greasy, spicy, comforting feeling. That's what I wanted. I'll say around 5, 6 o'clock, I would have dinner. Dinner would probably be something like, I don't know, maybe hamburger and fries. Um, I would probably have hamburger and fries, maybe cheese fries, something like that. A big soda, you know what I mean? Eat that, watch a little TV. I wouldn't go right to sleep, which was fortunate. I usually stayed up late, but that was the unfortunate side of that. So 2, 3 o'clock rolls around, I'm still up and I'm hungry and I'm big hungry. And so I fix something to eat. A huge meal. It'll be like pasta, something like that. Chicken Alfredo, like, cause I love to cook. So I'll whip up something in a heartbeat. Be a whole meal. Eat that 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, go to sleep, and then wake up at 7 or 8. So I wasn't getting any sleep. Terrible eating schedule. I was eating greasy, heavy, salty, saucy type of foods, spiking that insulin through the roof, and wasn't giving my body a chance to recover before I ate my next meal. And did that for decades. And so here I am now having to reprogram and dial that back. And I don't know, man, hearing that sermon, it definitely was an eye opener. Hearing that sermon, it definitely put things into perspective for me. And he was just speaking on just self control. You know, we want so much from God, and we want him to do this and do this, do this, do this. Bless us with this, bless me with that. And he just like, I just need you to get some self control. I probably would bless you with all these things, but you lack self control. I love reviewing fragrances. Love it. It's kind of all what I think about throughout the day. But there's a point where we have to be accountable and realize I'm kind of losing some self control here, especially with these prices. Golly. I could at least possibly excuse it if the price point was affordable, but some of these fragrances be out there, yo. And then we be out there just like buying it. I love fragrances. I love buying affordable fragrances. I think this was like $40. So if I was to spend 120 and get three, bottles of this, I could have went without it, but I won't feel super terrible about it because this didn't cost me $300 a piece. You know what I mean? This is a terrible arena to not have self control in because it's always a new fragrance cranking out. It's always something new, bigger and better, or bigger and prettier. And it's always something that you want to test out. And so it's a terrible arena to be in regards to not having self control. And we all love fragrances. Um, but just hearing that sermon just definitely put things in perspective for me. I love fragrances. And I know that I'm gonna buy them, so just try to find affordable fragrances, and I just try to buy modestly. Lately, to be perfectly honest, I've been doing tremendously well. I remember when I first started in the fragrance community, I was buying 12 some fragrances per week, just buying up, buying up stuff, constantly buying up stuff that I did not need. And I got a bunch of them that to this day I don't wear. You know what I mean? Just was buying up, doing all type of hauls, and it was insane. Now I may purchase maybe one or two fragrances a month, and that's sometimes every other month. So I've definitely gotten way better in that regard. But in regards to food, there's a lot more work that I could be putting in and doing and doing better in. We've been improving, we've been making adjustments. So I am proud about that. Yeah, we haven't been just sitting on our hands and doing nothing, but there are further improvements that could be made, some tweaks that could be made. Listening to this sermon definitely gave me a little bit more motivation in regards to portion control and realizing when you've had enough. I would notice that when I eat, feel super bloated, feel stuffed. I just don't feel like doing anything, feel uncomfortable. And then that's usually on days where my wife want to go somewhere and go do something. So now I don't feel like going anywhere. I just kind of want to lay around. I feel uncomfortable. I don't feel like I look the best in my clothes. So I don't really want to be out in public and just be out anywhere. And I'm just feeling uncomfortable. So it would get in the way of a lot. You know what I mean? So developing that portion control, developing just another facet of self control, uh, that's gonna do nothing but just help me improve. I definitely appreciate Brother Michael Todd talking on that, speaking on that. I think I may still try to release that segment and just speaking on the why food, and it just pretty much just going a little bit more in depth than what I spoke on earlier in regards to just like our connection with food and why is it hard for us to shake it. I well, I guess that's about it for this video. We talked long enough. It's 21 minutes so far. Listen, I appreciate each and every one of you guys who've been rocking with me, who was sending up prayers and everything when I was in the hospital back and forth, dealing with that whole situation. We've been doing pretty good. We don't really take medication like that. I take it periodically every once in a while as needed. At first, it was every day kind of thing. Wasn't missing any days, full dosage kind of deal. And now we're kind of at like a once every couple of weeks, maybe, kind of deal. Um, and it's been cool, man. Just figuring out, all right, let's work on this diet and see where that goes. See how this helps. And slowly but surely been kind of weaning off things. Zero weight, what's the water retention or fluid retention. Haven't been dealing with any of that. It was real heavy in my legs and my ankles were swollen. None of that. Have no water retention down there. I was dealing with really bad fatigue and just a super rapid heartbeat. And you were able to see my heartbeat like through, like right up here. It was like you could see it just really pulsating up here because it was working so hard and it was so enlarged. Um, and so I haven't been dealing with that. So it's been good. I've been so grateful that I can able to run around and play with my girls and spend time with my daughters, and I don't have to worry about just feeling so fatigued and bogged down and so groggy due to just exhaustion. Being able to take care of them comfortably. When I first got out of the hospital, my family was doing their best to aid me in taking care of them. So um, people were keeping close by, keeping a close eye. I was still here with my girls, taking care of them by myself, but everyone would call in, check in on me, make sure I was okay. If I needed help, they would, come in and assist me and help me out, so where I didn't have to work as hard and I could just rest up. But now I've gotten to a point now where we back independent and being able to care for them, you know, very easily, and being able to help other people and be there for other people at the moment. So I'm grateful. I told God I was gonna give him all the glory for getting me out of that situation and helping me come out on top. And it's been amazing, man. It's been a crazy journey, health wise, but I can't do nothing but give God all the glory. He's been amazing, taking care of me, taking care of my girls, and keeping me here where I can spend time with them, and keeping me here where I can talk to you guys as well, man. And whatever little influence I have, being able to utilize it in the best possible way. Um, so I'm definitely grateful for that. I'll let you guys go. Like, comment, share, subscribe, share our channel with a friend. Let somebody know about our channel. We got some great content here. And my daughter's in the background yelling. Got some great content here. We have, I want to say almost a thousand uploads on this channel. I think we're like 4 uploads away from 1,000 uploads, and they're quality uploads. No, not a whole lot of shorts and a whole lot of just, really quick thrown together any kind of way videos. We really spend time to create some good quality content for you guys. So I'm definitely excited to be able to pass that 1,000 marker and to keep creating some good content for you guys. So tell a friend, tell some family members to come on over, subscribe, hit that bell, stay notified whenever we upload, and I will catch you guys soon. Peace.